Now going to introduce Dr. Chris Bakkenist, Associate Director for Cancer Research Career Enhancement Activities.
Thank you, Dr. Ferris. The Hillman Cancer Center invests $1.4 million every year in education and training. The $850,000 we invest in graduate students is more than any other center or department at the University of Pittsburgh. I chair the Committee for Excellence in Cancer Education and Training, whose mission is to review and coordinate existing education and training opportunities, as well as to develop new programs as needed. My qualifications for this leadership position include my membership of the University of Pittsburgh School of Medicine Tenure Faculty Promotions and Appointments Committee, as well as my chartered membership of NCI, which reviews all K-99 and K-22 applications to the NCI. Our committee includes representatives from graduate student through faculty, from medical, radiation, and surgical oncology, as well as from all our principal locations. We present three aims. The first focuses on high school students and undergraduates, the second on medical students and fellows, and the third on healthcare professionals and faculty. We offer a continuum of education and training opportunities from high school students through faculty. Highlighted in blue are cancer-specific education and training opportunities, while in green are medical school-wide education and training opportunities that we take advantage of. The Hillman Academy has hosted 433 exceptional high school students from our catchment area since it was founded in 2009. Every student completes an 8-week summer internship that includes a genuine cancer research project. 175 of these exceptional students have been from underrepresented or disadvantaged backgrounds, and 99% of these students have matriculated to college, many of whom being the first member of their family to do so. This year, we were awarded an R25 to support this youth program through 2024. Our activities targeting graduates include a new Hillman Fellowship for medical students and the new Hillman Postdoctoral Fellowships for innovative cancer research. We aim to recruit the very best scientists to cancer research in the Hillman Cancer Center, and we are offering 20% over the NIH recommended stipend for postdocs, as well as a generous career development account. The new Hillman Postdoctoral Association aims to enhance the career development of our postdocs through invited talks and, at their request, a K-99, K-22 grant writing class. Our graduate students and postdocs are supported by 6 T32s from the NCI. During the last funding interval, 13 trainees that were supported by these 6 T32s won faculty positions. We've embedded lectures in biostatistics, unconscious bias, health disparities, and bioinformatics into our weekly seminar series. We offer 20 CME programs, and these are overseen by Dr. Chu. Our efforts are paying dividends. In the last 6 months, we've won 2 F-31s from the NCI, and in the last 3 months, our trainees have won 2 K-99s, 1 from the NCI. There are many paths to success for junior faculty at the Hillman Cancer Center. Every junior faculty has a mentoring team assembled by their program leaders, and many also have a mentoring team assembled in their home department. By way of example, Dr. Carissa Lowe started with a K-07 and subsequently won an NCI R37 Merit Award. Dr. Yael Schenker started with a KL2 and subsequently won 2 R01s from the NCI. Dr. Greg Delgoff really won many foundation awards and was then one of the first awardees of an NIH Director's New Innovator Award. Dr. Roddy O'Sullivan, with his first ever application to the NIH, won an R01 from the NCI and subsequently won funding from ACS and the St. Baldrick's Foundation. I think we're doing really well. We could do better. Our R25 includes funding to expand the Hillman Academy and our outreach to catchment area high schools and community organizations serving URM and disadvantaged students. We wish to expand our Hillman Postdoctoral Fellowship program to offer a bridge to faculty, wherein successful postdocs are guaranteed a tenure-track faculty position if they do reach certain metrics. 4 programs will submit T32s, and we will submit a T35. We also have a mentoring initiative that will advance one competitive K99 application per cycle. Finally, we wish to bring all our junior faculty together at least once a month in a quorum where they can share specific aims pages and develop grants in teams. Thank you for your attention. Happy to take any questions.
Great. I have three questions. You had mentioned the Committee for Excellence in Cancer Education and Training. In the written document, you talked about the fact that they evaluated each one of the programs critically. I wonder if you could give us some examples of where that evaluation has changed the programs. And also, could you provide us records from those meetings?
We certainly do have records from all our Committee for Excellence in Cancer Education and Training. Program leaders work through their programs to provide career enhancements specifically focused on junior faculty grant development, right? Genome Stability, where I'm a part of, Dr. Apresco and Dr. Van Houten very clearly meet with all junior faculty to discuss their grant applications and career development. Where we become involved is oftentimes if it needs to have perhaps a mock study section review of that grant, we can assemble from faculty throughout the Cancer Centre individual specific expertise who will review that. In regards to how we coordinate with program leaders, I do meet with program leaders and the leaders of the T32s on a regular basis to receive input from them as to their needs.
More specifically, are there examples where your committee's efforts and evaluations have changed the programs? And how is that affected? Do you have authority over any of these programs, or is it simply to inform the people who lead the programs of your decisions?
So I have no authority over programs. I meet with Dr. Ferris bi-weekly, and I can request of him or share with him needs, to give specific examples over how I've changed a program. No, I don't have such an example.
Also, are there efforts here in nursing training? I did not see them presented.
I did not present them. They do exist. We have an R25 that focuses on nursing training throughout the community.
And I was impressed by the fact that you do have statistics and follow-up on a number of the graduates of your programs. What mechanisms do you use to track the graduates of the programs, and what fraction of those graduates do you capture?
So this is a very important area for us moving forward. We've been very successful at capturing people that were supported by the T32s. Following the program restructuring, it's been rather difficult to get exact numbers for which postdoctoral trainees have won faculty positions. We know all the ones that were on training grants, including the Ks and the T32s. So in the new budget, we have requested funding for an administrative associate who works with me, Ms. Gina Toy-Cutler, who is going to try to capture that data by keeping ongoing records of all the faculty in this matrix cancer center that fall under the cancer center. As you saw in the document, the last number we have is 83. As you can imagine, that changes pretty frequently.
So do you have an electronic system, or how do you actually capture that? How do you plan to capture that information, and what data source? Or
So we have established an electronic system to capture the number of postdocs, okay? And this is just through the directory of the Cancer Center. And then we intend to build upon that to actually try to track them on a semi-annual basis to identify where they are. We are going to try to, we've been very successful with the Hillman Academy at tracking our high school students. We know exactly where they all go because they're very engaged with us. And so we need to build more of a two-way relationship where both the graduate students and the postdocs communicate with us rather than relying on their mentors, which hasn't been so helpful.
And do you know the total number of trainees that are engaged in the various programs?
I don't have that breakdown. I'm sure we could provide it from the administrative side.
Okay, last question is sort of a follow-up, but have you been engaged and has the committee been engaged in developing and identifying new educational opportunities for programs?
We've been very engaged with the whole, with the medical school in regards to the graduate students. Right? So two of our faculty were engaged in developing the new program, the program in molecular biology and immunology, which really has, we believe, increased the competitive nature of our graduate students, and particularly with a focus on minorities. So we're very engaged across the medical school.
So you provided data table 2A and selected as the cutoff for that reporting April of 2019. So there are many training grants in this table that ended their funding period in the summer prior to your submission. I assume you're going to provide new data because many of these either are no longer active. One in particular is one that you highlight in a slide. So I think to actually get updated data, I don't know if you're going to do a run for December 31st, 2019. So your data table 2 actually really reflects what is active funding, because right now, many of these aren't active. And as Tim said, a pointy head reviewer is going to really go to town on that, especially because you have some of that data within your presentation. Mm-hmm. And I'd just like to stress what Bob said, which is evaluation needs to be this is why the NCI put this component in. They really want to evaluate how cancer centers are training and where these trainees end up. And that just didn't come through in the presentation. And it's a really important component of this. And finally, they are expecting you to present on how you're training allied health and the entire workforce. So I would have some indication of that someplace in the presentation.
Could you tell us how you select the Hillman postdoctoral fellows?
So we actually had an international search where we advertised in, I think it was Cell Science and Nature. We have a committee that represented the programs that really run off postdocs, that reviewed all the applications. We developed a short list, and then we invited 2 candidates to come talk. One of those candidates accepted the position here. Another one accepted the position elsewhere. That was the first time. We are advertising again now.
So they apply to individual laboratories? I mean,
Oh, so I see. So we asked them actually to designate 3 laboratories that they were interested in working for. And then when they came in, they actually interviewed with different PIs. We do hope to expand this to a point where we can have a sort of retreat weekend where we have faculty present different projects to them. It's a matter of getting a critical mass of people to bring in.
Chris, I had 3 questions. The first is if you could elucidate a little bit more about the role of the committee. So you have a lot of training activities, but it's still not clear to me exactly what the committee does to facilitate those. Can you give a little more detail about that and perhaps examples of something the committee did that really drove a new activity?
Well, the committee and the strategic vision really identified a key area was to try to recruit more postdocs. We have exceptional junior faculty coming in, and really we struggle to get them good postdocs quickly. Right? So a strategic vision identified problem was bringing in more postdocs, and this is where the Hillman Postdoctoral Fellowship came from. That was out of the committee. Right?
Okay. Second question, somewhat related. What does success look like? You know, we talked a little bit about metrics, but how do you know you're making an impact and how you're evaluating that?
So for the trainees we're discussing here, be it the graduate students or the postdocs, really award of Fs and K grants. Right? I think the award of K99s at this institution will clearly enhance the success rate of our postdocs getting faculty positions, but also allow us to try to recruit more in. So I really think the focusing on the K99s in particular is something that I'd like to prioritize.
And now I'm going to ask a question that's an EAB question, not a site visit question. You focus very much on lab-based investigators here, a little less on clinical investigators, and really, you know, in academic cancer centers, our clinical fellows are a big part of our training activities, and, you know, whether medical oncology, surgical oncology, radiation, all. And that didn't come across at all. I just wonder if you can add something about how you're training, either in laboratory or in clinical investigation, all the trainees across the different cancer disciplines. Because, you know, I think at most it was one box in one of the big tables that, yes, clinical fellows do some research.
Yes.
Do you have programs where you facilitate their research training?
Yes. We have a medical oncology fellowship program, and they come to the Mary-Lagorian writing group and present their research. They do have a lab-based component of that, a radiation oncology residency program. The residents there come into the lab or do research on treatment, historical treatment data. We have a radiation physics program that I work with too.
Okay. I guess, you know, physician scientists are something that's sort of unique to academic medical centers, and it should be an important part of any training program is what you're doing in the physician scientist space, whether it's clinical investigation or laboratory investigation.
And I'd add as well the cancer control and population science area.
Yep.
And that goes beyond the School of Medicine. So do you interact with psychology? Do you interact with nursing? Do you interact with communications? Those
Mike,
guys.
maybe just to, so I think that's a great question, and maybe a better response, maybe to expand, is that in fact 3 of our T32s actually specifically address that. So my T32s focus on medical college fellows who have actually either finished their fellowship training or about to, and actually further training to be a physician scientist focused on cancer therapeutics. Dave Bartlett's T32 is focused on training the next generation of surgical physician scientists. And Jen Men's T32 population scientist is to actually focus on training the next generation of top scientists. And then actually have a next, right? So, which Bob used to be the PI, now owns the board, which is to train the next generation of surgical ENT physician scientists. So I think actually the training grants really specific.
Yeah. I know you do it. It's just, it should be visible in this presentation.
Yeah.
And my question was a variation on the theme is, where's the training for clinical trialists and clinical research coming out of fellowship, coming out of nursing school? You know, that's usually in this section, I
Yep.
think.
Actually, though, again, as a member of the AAB, this is extremely well written. The material that's there, the things that you covered, you had great examples of where you've succeeded. So I think it's simply a matter in using the time here to expand those other areas. I guess one question in terms of the physician scientist, can you actually track how well you do in their obtaining external funding? And if you've got those numbers, can you make an aspirational goal to improve that?
So those numbers I do have. So I've been teaching professional development 3 for the MSTPs for 7 years, and we've increased the success rate of F30 applications from 20 to 70%.
Yeah. That should be in your presentation.
Okay.
Okay, we have a 10-minute break now, or you want to make it 8 minutes? Okay.
7.5. Great.
Thank you, Chris.